The syllabus given for the first unit is very small and it contains only the introductory part. So we have learnt about various definitions, and then we have identified the various sources of groundwater, the classification of aquifers, and the classification of wells. So here I should add the difference between a spring and a stream. Okay. See, spring is the one where the water flows naturally from the rock to the ground surface. Now, yesterday I have shown a spring well. You see, this is an aquifer and this is confined aquifer. Now, in this confined aquifer, the red line shown here is a phreatic line. This is a phreatic line. One minute. So this is the phreatic line, the red one. That means the water table is supposed to be present here. But due to the presence of this confining layer, this is the confining layer. So all the water here is under pressure. So if there is an opening here, the water will gush out and it will occupy, it will raise to this level. So this is what is called as a spring well or spring. Now, going to the difference between spring and stream. See, this is a water table. Now, this is all the earth's surface. Now, when there is a precipitation, I don't know. Yesterday I got that symbol, to show. And it will percolate. So there will be surface runoff which will flow into the stream. This is the stream. So apart from the surface runoff, the groundwater also flows. So this is the groundwater table. This is the groundwater table. It is shown here. See, this is the groundwater table. So water flows from here to this. So this is called as a stream. This is a stream. Now this stream is a gaining stream. Gaining stream means that there will be flow from the groundwater into the stream. Now if you recall your hydrograph, unit hydrograph and hydrograph, there will be base flow. So that base flow is due to the contribution of groundwater flow. So that is called as a gaining stream. Now when there is no flow from the ground, what happens is from the streams, from the rivers, there will be a reverse flow. So the flow will be percolating into the ground. So the groundwater table will be increased due to the channel storage available in the river. So that is a losing stream. That stream loses water from its source to the groundwater. So that is the basic difference between spring and a stream. Okay. Now let us consider the groundwater movement. Now, when the flow is taking place from groundwater, just similar to the pipe flow, in pipe flow, what happens at one point there will be certain pressure P1. At certain other point there will be a pressure P2. So the hydraulic gradient line is defined as P1 minus P2 divided by the length. So P1 is written as gamma times H1, where H1 is the piezometric head. So that means if I have a pipe, suppose there is a pipe. Okay. I have introduced a, say for example, a pipe here. This is a piezometer tube. So in this, what will happen? The water will raise. Now, here the pressure is high and water will rise up to that level. Whereas if you consider okay, another point, here the water will be rising only up to this level. So if you draw the line joining these two, if you draw a line joining these two, it indicates the hydraulic gradient line. So this is the hydraulic gradient line. So what is the value of hydraulic gradient line? How slope of hydraulic gradient line is equal to, now if I call this as H1, So this is small h1 and this is h2, and this distance suppose is L. Are these visible? Because I have written in small font. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Daddy.
So slope of hydraulic gradient line is h1 minus h2 divided by L.
Pusa. దండం పెట్టు.
So the slope of hydraulic gradient line is h1 minus h2 by L. So in the same way, if you replace this pipe by your aquifer, now I am again changing the so the hydraulic head is defined as H. That is the difference between the piezometric levels. That means if you go to this figure, I will show in the other. Yes. See, if suppose there is a well here, there is a well here, and so this is H1 and this is H2. This is suppose let me do one thing. Let us consider a well here. This is well. No, this has become the spring well, isn't it? Okay, we'll consider well here. We'll consider a well here. Okay, so this is H1, this is H1, and the other one is H2. This is H2. So That H1 minus H2 divided by that distance is your piezometric slope of the piezometric surface, right? So that is what I am calling is a H. H is the hydraulic head. So it will be in length units. So this is nothing but it is a measure of energy potential. Essentially is a measure of the elevational or gravitational potential energy. It is pressure energy. So due to this difference in pressure, then the flow will be taking place because they flow at one point the pressure is higher and the other point pressure is lower. So the flow takes place due to this. Water flows from high to low fluid potential or high to low head. Right? Sometimes you may have higher pressure at higher elevations. Higher pressure at lower elevations. So then what will happen? If the higher elevation is having lesser pressure, the flow will be from lower elevation to higher elevation because the pressure is more here. So that is the driving force. The example is if you install a pump, you can pump water from the ground surface to a overhead reservoir because there the pressure is less and here the pressure is created is more. So therefore the flow will be from lower elevation to higher elevation. So a layman when he is asked, he will always say that water or any fluid flows from higher level to lower level. But as a civil engineer, especially as a hydraulic engineer, you should say that the fluid will flow from higher energy to lower energy. So that is the correct terminology or correct saying about the flow of the fluid. So hydraulic head is used to determine the hydraulic gradient. So hydraulic head is that pressure head. So the hydraulic head combines the fluid pressure and the gradient. See, there will be a natural gradient of the pipe or aquifer. So how do we define the hydraulic gradient line? It is not simply P1 minus P2 by gamma divided by L. It is P1 by gamma plus Z1 minus P2 by gamma plus Z2. That means the datum head also is combined. So similarly here also it includes the difference in elevations also. So the hydraulic head combines the fluid pressure and the gradient and can be thought of as standing elevation that water will rise to in a well allowed to come to equilibrium with subsurface. So when equilibrium is maintained, then the difference in elevations plus the difference in pressure heads will result in the flow from higher hydraulic gradient, piezometric head, that is P by gamma plus Z, to lower value of piezometric head, that is P by gamma plus Z at second. So groundwater always moves from an area of higher hydraulic head to an area of lower hydraulic head. That is, hydraulic head is P by gamma plus Z. Therefore, groundwater not only flows downward, it can also flow laterally or upward also. Okay, that you should accept. Now, so the general concepts of groundwater movement will be now dealt. Now let us consider there is hydraulic gradient, that is the dH by dl. See, this is the piezometric head here, and this is the piezometric head here. So, what is the slope? Slope is the rise or difference divided by the length. So, the length is dl here. Actually, we have to take this way, but it doesn't matter. So, this is dl and this is h. So, dH by dl is the slope, that is the hydraulic gradient. Hydraulic gradient for an unconfined aquifer is approximately the slope of the water table, because in unconfined aquifer the water surface automatically gives you the piezometric head. So it is directly your hydraulic gradient line. So here we consider hydraulic conductivity. The definition of hydraulic conductivity we will just once again remember. It is the ability of material to allow water to move through it, expressed in terms of distance by time, that is meters per day or centimeters per second or gallons per day. Not gallons per day, sorry. Gallons per day will be transmissivity. Gallons per day no, that's not correct. Only meters per day or centimeters per second or anything like that. So velocity units. It is a function of the size and shape of the particles and the size, shape and connectivity of the pore spaces. So all these three things are involved. All the three things are involved. Now, what does Darcy's law say? Darcy's law says that the velocity of flow is proportional to the hydraulic gradient line. So, V is proportional to dH by dl. That is what Darcy's law says. So, how much groundwater flows, how fast groundwater flows, where the groundwater flows. So Darcy's law gives you information about these three aspects. How fast? First it defines how fast. That means the velocity of the groundwater flow. Where means higher piezometric head to lower piezometric head. And how much means this velocity multiplied by the area. Velocity multiplied by the area. So, this is an experiment conducted by Henry Darcy in 1856. So, studied water flowing through a porous material. So, what he has done is he has considered a container filled with sand, and he has connected a reservoir to it, and in this reservoir water level is maintained and there is an outlet. So water is flowing through this. Now here he has introduced a piezometric tube. Here and here two piezometric tubes are introduced, just similar to what I have shown earlier, right? So he has considered a horizontal pipe and filled it with sand. Instead of it, it can be tilted also. It can be tilted also, like this it can have. Okay. Now, this difference is HA minus HB is DH. DH. So this distance is DL. So according to him, he found that hydraulic, I don't know whether it is there or not. 1 minute. Okay. I think. Yeah. So Darcy's experiment, Q is proportional to delta H. Q is proportional to delta H. Or if you consider the area, so he has shown that Q is proportional to area times delta H by delta X. Q is proportional to area times delta H by delta X. So removing this proportionality, he has introduced Q is equal to minus K A d delta H by delta X. Now tell me why minus is introduced here. Why minus is introduced? I could have simply said Q is equal to Ka delta H by delta X. Why minus is introduced by Darcy? Come on, anyone?
Falling.
Huh?
Falling.
Falling means what? See, your answer should be clear. Up to the final stage, your answer should provide.
HDL falling. Gradient line.
No, not clearly. See, you should not mumble. You should tell confidently. Why minus sign is introduced? If you recall, your velocity distribution also. No, your voice is not clear what you are saying. If you recall the velocity distribution in a pipe, Navier-Stokes equations last semester we have obtained. There also we got the velocity is equal to something into 1 minus y by r. So y is always less than r. So you will get with a minus sign that one. Y by r minus something. So always the parameter in the brackets was negative. But the velocity in the direction of flow cannot be negative. So what we have introduced there for the dou p by dou x, we have written minus dou p by dou x. The reason is whether it is velocity or the discharge, as in this case which you are referring, what is that Q? Q is the rate of flow in the direction of flow. That particular vector notation, vector aspect you should cover. So that Q in the direction of flow can never be negative. It has to be positive only. But if you consider delta H by delta X, always H2 will be less than H1 and X2 will be greater than X1. So if you write H1 minus H2 by X1 minus X2, it will be a negative quantity. So delta H by delta L is always negative. So to counteract that negative, we have to introduce a minus sign so that it clearly shows that in the direction of flow, delta H by delta X or delta H by delta L is always negative, and that negative and this negative will compensate and will give you the discharge in this case or the velocity in the earlier case as positive. Right? So, what are the limitations? The limitations of Darcy's law. The first one is, this is valid only for laminar flow. So Reynolds number defined as NR. In all groundwater engineering, normally we use NR instead of R or RE for Reynolds number. We use NR. So the definition of NR is same. VD by nu. Now here what is the D? In the case of pipe, D was the diameter. In the case of a boundary layer, that distance was X or L. That it is always a characteristic length dimension. So velocity multiplied by a characteristic length dimension divided by kinematic viscosity is the expression for Reynolds number. So here that characteristic length dimension is a representative length. It may be the grain size or it may be the pore size or anything else. So normally it is taken as the grain size. So where nu is the V is the velocity, D is the representative length, and nu is kinematic viscosity. So this should be less than 5. So then only this is valid. Darcy's law is valid only when the Reynolds number is less than 5. And this Darcy's law is also valid when the soil media is isotropic. Yesterday I told what is isotropic. Isotropic means the property, any property, if we consider, is same throughout. So that is called as a homogeneous material. On the other hand, if K is not same throughout, then it is called as a heterogeneous material. Normally, for all practical purposes, though the soil media is heterogeneous, but for our analysis we consider it as a homogeneous one. So therefore, the limitations are, it is laminar flow, Reynolds number less than 5, and the soil is homogeneous. So these are the limitations. So this is what is the total content of your module 1. You can see, you can compare with your syllabus here. See whether we have covered everything or not. Let us see. Role of groundwater in hydrological cycle. Yes, we have covered. Groundwater bearing formations, that is aquifer, aquiclude, aquifuse, aquitard, confined aquifer, unconfined aquifer, pitched aquifer, and then flow and storage characteristics, specific yield, specific retention, porosity, void ratio, storage coefficient, and then Darcy's law. Darcy's law we have seen anisotropy and heterogeneity. Anisotropy means non-homogeneous. So, or heterogeneous. Anisotropy means it is a heterogeneous medium. So, this is the total content of your first unit. So, from the next class onwards, we will proceed to the second unit, governing equations of groundwater flow, Dupuit and Forsheimer assumptions, general differential equation governing the groundwater flow, analytical solutions. Now, all of you go through the unit 1, and what I want you is to try to identify something which I have not covered, if at all any. So, you take any textbook, they are all available in the internet. You can download and go through them, study these topics, and try to come. I think tomorrow, do we have a class? Let me see. Okay, let me see.